Hello, hello, hello. It's your boy Rock, and today I'm going to be ready to how an underdog obliterated the world's saltiest Yu-Gi-Oh players by Squiddies. So make sure to like and subscribe to this video, and let's get right into it.
Life was always hard for me. There was days where I thought I wasn't gonna make it. That's why I take this game so serious. You know why? Because this Yu-Gi-Oh game has kept me out of
Why
trouble.
so
Allow
serious?
me to introduce you to Jarrell Pro Winston, an underdog who has just performed one of the greatest feats in Yu-Gi-Oh history. But instead of celebrations and congratulations, his success would enrage the elitist Yu-Gi-Oh player base. Why, you might ask? Well, on this day, Jarrell would humiliate the strongest players in the entire world at the most prestigious tournament of all time, the Yu-Gi-Oh World Championship. But unlike the pro players who brought only the best meta decks, Jarrell would instead obliterate them with his own unique concoction. A tech that was shockingly egregious and completely unthinkable, one that was previously considered to be the game's worst competitive strategy. On this fateful day, Jarrell would prevail with EXODIA. Now, there's some important context needed to fully understand just how we got to this point.
EXODIA, you really want to know why Jarrell McKay Winston played Yu-Gi-Oh?
Our story starts in the year 2012, where Jarrell was a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh player who attended tournaments around the country. Growing up in the Bronx, Jarrell faced challenges during childhood, from being bullied and even being homeless, bouncing between foster homes before his great aunt was able to adopt him, and Yu-Gi-Oh had become his outlet.
I was ridiculed in school. I had nothing to do and nowhere to go. I was homeless. I had no mother, guys. I had no father. I had 7 other siblings. I know how it is to struggle. I know how it is to get bullied. I know how it is to get robbed. I know how it is to live in the streets. That's why I take this game so serious. You know why? Because this Yu-Gi-Oh game has kept me out of trouble.
As he grew older, he began traveling to premier tournaments, netting a handful of small accolades, including a few top cut finishes at premier championships.
This Yu-Gi-Oh game has showed me places that I never even known existed. I never knew there was a world outside of the Bronx.
But early on, he would receive scrutiny from the pro players who always felt that Jarrell's small list of accomplishments were a result of luck and
that's what EXODIA is.
Due to the fact that in addition to being a player, Jarrell was also a YouTuber, someone who made content about the game and shared his ideas with the community, covering big moments and successful players like Marquise Henderson. Though his channel Pro Winston was a household name, YugiTubing was looked down upon by the pompous pro players who would keep their secrets among themselves and
YouTubers are 50 casuals
or anything of the sort that would remotely threaten their success. They believed that YugiTubers were more casual players who were nowhere near the level of the elite. But little did they know, Jarrell would completely shatter this assumption at the national championship in the summer of the same year. This was an annual tournament attended by the best duelists on the continent, with the top 6 duelists qualifying themselves to represent the United States at the highest pinnacle of competition, the Yu-Gi-Oh World Championship held in Japan.
I know how it is to struggle, and that's why I sit here and I tell you every day to never give up.
And it was here that Jarrell would obliterate 1,605 other players to finish in 3rd place, earning the prestige to set foot onto the world stage.
In 3rd place from New York, Jarrell McKay Winston.
From the Bronx. People
as their jaws hit the floor, the pro players were quick to discredit Jarrell, as he had succeeded with a Chaos Dragon strategy that the community felt was largely skillless. Unlike windups or Dino Rabbits, which required setup and preemptive planning, Chaos Dragon simply milled a large chunk of their deck to fuel large dragon monsters that beat down the opponent. In their eyes, it was the epitome of caveman dueling. The deck was especially overwhelming due to an annoying combo loop with a light pulsar dragon who, when sent to the graveyard, would resurrect the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. Darkness Metal Dragon's effect then allowed the player to summon back any other dragon monster from the graveyard, including light pulsar, meaning the opponent would have to find a way to remove both monsters in sequence to stop the infinite loop. But nevertheless, Jarrell had qualified himself on behalf of America, which frustrated the pros, notably because up until this point, the United States had never held the title of world champion. They felt that he'd taken up a precious slot when a more accomplished player could have strengthened their odds to finally beat the dominant Asian players. In fact, a few of the other 5 players who qualified alongside Jarrell were so salty that they even refused to playtest with him, leaving Jarrell to train and prepare for Worlds on his own accord. But this would only make him more determined than ever.
I mean, that's probably better for him.
I finally made it to the Yu-Gi-Oh! National Championship in one shape. Whoa!
It's an ad.
Ah, my back.
Somebody
left this deadly Yu-Gi-Oh! Card on the floor, and it injured me. Huh?
Morgan and Morgan.
World Championship would have its own set of rules and strict card pool, allowing only cards that were already released in every territory and no region exclusives. This meant that the metagame was on completely level playing field, and every duelist would have to adapt new strategies to win. It quickly became obvious that one soul deck would be extremely dominant. The Insectors, bugs from the abyss that would swarm the field with an insect army, equip themselves to each other, and then fling themselves at the opponent's field. Naturally, this gave you 2 options: join the bug army or hate build in a way that specifically countered them. The other American players would do exactly the latter, bringing Chaos Dragons to try and squish the tiny bugs, and even Gravekeepers whose signature Necrobattle field spell would lock down the somewhat graveyard-reliant Insector engine. Yet Jarrell began to think even further outside of the box. Though the deck had served him well in Nationals, he wasn't convinced that dragons would be consistent enough to match the speed of the Insectors. And as he boarded the plane to Japan, he mulled over his options. At the end of the day, Insectors were a strategy that relied on having opposing cards to destroy and then attacking to win. So what if there was a way to approach the matchup from a completely different angle? One that wouldn't give them any valuable cards to destroy, nor battle them head on. Instead, it could rely on an alternate win condition. One that was downright insane to even consider: assembling all 5 pieces of EXODIA. The concept initially came to him after a late night discussing theory with his friends. Unlike the pro players who had the deep intellect and analysis for every single detail, Jarrell's friends were just regular duelists. But for him, their support was more than enough. And his friend Giuseppe would be the first to send him a draft of the deck. Jarrell was the type of player who wouldn't refute any idea, and he instantly began ruminating on the thought. Now, contrary to the show, EXODIA was never viable on a competitive level in real life. Not even at the local level, never mind the most esteemed tournament of all time. The deck was downright horrible and easily one of the worst strategies by a large margin, mostly because the individual pieces were deadweight on their own, and the strategy was highly susceptible to both hand and field disruption. Early EXODIA decks circumvented these issues by drawing the player's entire deck in one single turn to assemble the 5 pieces on the spot. But this was often inconsistent and would never work out in the long run, especially when you factor in that the game's most powerful draw spells like Pot of Greed had been banned for years. Not to mention the odds of opening all 5 pieces in your opening hand was only 1 in 658,008. His friend Giuseppe instead shared a different take. What if he played a heavy trap engine to control the game and slowly draw EXODIA over the course of multiple turns? This was a concept that was previously used in burn decks, using traps to attack the opponent's life points directly while protecting themselves for a turn, followed by replenishing their hand with card draw effects and repeating the process. Instead of the burn cards, he could slot in the 5 pieces of EXODIA. Hypothetically, this would grant him an advantage as every card he played on the field could be activated in response when it was targeted for destruction by an opposing Insector monster. Meanwhile, the majority of their other cards would also be useless against his win condition. Jar of Greed, Legacy of Yatagarasu, Reckless Greed, and Accumulated Fortune would draw him cards. One Day of Peace would do the same while preventing battle damage for a turn. Meanwhile, Wabaku, Threatening Roar, and Swift Scarecrow could do the heavy lifting by protecting his life points. It was the ultimate turtle up strategy that would result in a slow and grueling victory. But Jarrell innovated even further by playing Hope for Escape, a trap card that drew a card for every 2,000 life point differential between the user and the opponent. He could deliberately take damage from the Insector players as they attacked them with their monsters, and then activate Hope for Escape to draw 3 or even 4 cards. And the rest of his deck could complement the strategy pretty easily. Upstart Goblin granted the opponent 1,000 life points in exchange for a draw, and for the first time in competitive history, Gift Card would see the spotlight. It was a trap card that simply gave his opponent 3,000 life points, something that made no sense to play at all. But in this case, it would serve the purpose of fueling an extremely juicy Hope for Escape. The concept was finally there, though Jarrell wasn't fully convinced because the deck was built purely on theory and he wouldn't have much time to test it. As he boarded his flight to Japan, he packed 2 deck boxes, one with his trusty Chaos Dragon deck that had brought him this far, and the other containing his newfound stroke of genius. In his mind, he just couldn't shake the thought that, though it was revolutionary, EXODIA was just borderline insane to take to the World Championship. So could he really take this idea and run with it? After all, this was literally the pinnacle of all tournaments, with exclusive prizes on the line worth as much as $100,000. But as the sun rose on the next day, he would enter the Tokyo Dome with one lone deck box in hand.
If y'all think Jarrell McKay Winston will stop and give up, you're sadly mistaken. I have came to Tokyo, Japan to fight, and I will not stop until I cannot fight anymore, guys.
Jarrell Winston knew what he had to do. He would embrace the heart of the cards.
The heart of the cards.
He became the strongest duelists in the entire world prepared to face off. Oh, and this guy named Joshua Schmidt was there too. And then the tournament started.
Wait, is that him?
Began, the casters were in absolute disbelief as they read the deck list, slowly coming to the realization that they were in the presence of the Pharaoh's greatest weapon. And for the first time in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh history, someone other than Yugi would assemble the 5 pieces of EXODIA. The internet would explode. The community was understandably completely awestruck, and most of them cheered Jarrell on. But the haters, on the other hand, were entirely flabbergasted. They just could not believe what they were witnessing. As if they weren't salty already about Jarrell going to Worlds, of all decks, he decided to run EXODIA. They were absolutely livid. In their eyes, he had completely wasted his golden ticket opportunity, and playing such an atrocious deck was pure travesty. Yet their expressions would quickly change to shock.
I could never promise you a miracle, but I promised you a movement. Never give up. Guys, you have to always believe.
Believe in the hearts of cards.
Obliterating 2 Insector players with ease. His determination was paying off. Yet Jarrell's miraculous string of fortune was only just beginning, because in a crazy turn of events, his round 3 opponent would default on their match after being rushed to the hospital due to a medical emergency. This was especially lucky for him because the Mexican player was using a 6 Samurai deck, which was an unwinnable matchup for EXODIA. Their signature boss monster, legendary 6 Samurai Shien, could negate any spell and trap card effects, and the Churia Beast would permanently lock him out of spells. But Jarrell would dodge a bullet and proceed with a 3-0 record, giving him a high chance to make the top 8 playoff bracket that would ultimately determine the winner. A fact that made his online haters even more saltier the minute they heard this. Jarrell is only winning because of luck.
I mean, that's how you win with
the
the
other
deck.
American players weren't doing so hot, with a few of them already knocked out of the tournament at this point. For the crowd watching at home, Jarrell was their last hope. Also, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. His next opponent was one of the few other role players who utilized an anti-meta stun strategy that leveraged Skill Drain and Necro Valley to stun out the opponent. Jarrell would draw multiple EXODIA pieces early on and failed to stabilize the game with his traps, leading to his first loss of the tournament. It was also one of the few decks that played both Solemn Judgment and Dark Bribe to negate Jarrell's trap cards, by and far his most nightmare matchup. The stakes would become even more tense as he would take a second loss to a skilled Insector player in the final round, a close match that led to an unfortunate defeat. This meant he would finish with a 3-2 final record after Swiss, and though dismayed, he wouldn't give up on the heart of the cards just yet, because Jarrell knew that a few players with his record would make it into the top 8, but this was all dependent on math and tiebreakers.
A lot of people think things are impossible. The word impossible says I'm possible.
I'm possible.
That means Jarrell McKay Universal Winston can do whatever
Universal. Is his middle name Universal?
The strongest moment of anticipation in his life as the announcer took to the mic.
It's not Universal. It's Jarrell McKay Winston. Bro got the McDonald's hair.
And then suddenly, a tremendous cheer erupted. Jarrell Winston had achieved the impossible.
McDonald's
For the
hair.
first time in Yu-Gi-Oh! History, EXODIA had made top 8 at the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship. It was the only rogue deck that made it into the playoffs, next to the Steel Drain anti-meta deck that beat him earlier in the tournament, along with a whopping 6 Insector decks, to no one's surprise, really. Things would ramp up immediately, for every remaining challenger was extremely dangerous.
Can't underestimate anybody. Everybody is dangerous. Everybody can prevail. Every person deserves to be there. So you take nothing for granted. You overlook no one.
His top 8 opponent was a Japanese player by the name of
It's the
Akikazu
philosopher,
Saito, who the
bro.
Asian players had dubbed the Ultimate Insect King. In Game 1, Jarrell would find the 5 pieces of Exodia early on, taking the victory by storm. But in Game 2, Saito's explosive opening quickly overpowered Jarrell, as he had drawn 3 pieces of Exodia in his opening hand, meaning he had no way to get the ball rolling.
Damn.
Of course, one of the deck's glaring weaknesses is that you never want to draw the Exodia pieces until you get the deck's card draw momentum online. But Game 3 would be a grueling back and forth that could have went either way. Jarrell's opponent was evidently unlike the other Insector players he had faced prior. In fact, Saito had quickly adapted to his strategy and started making unconventional moves to slow him down, finding a unique way to utilize Solemn Warning, a trap card that would normally negate an opposing monster summon by paying 2,000 life points.
I'm not sure I've ever seen somebody use Solemn Warning on his own summon before.
Now, this card would otherwise be useless against Jarrell's decks that didn't summon any monsters. Except Saito would activate Solemn Warning that negate his own summons, for the sole purpose of reducing his life points to prevent Jarrell from drawing more cards with hope for escape. A genius move in hindsight that provided a significant advantage. During the game, there would be additional pressure, for Jarrell felt that Saito began to play extremely slowly with the intention of wearing down the clock. You see, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Match is timed, and when the clock hits 0, the player with the higher life points wins the match. And despite Jarrell appealing to the judges on multiple occasions, only a 10-minute time extension would be granted. There would also be miscommunication due to the language barrier. According to Jarrell, there were 4 or 5 Japanese judges, but no English judges immediately present at his table. After all, the tournament took place in Japan, and Jarrell felt that from a logistical perspective, his opponent was heavily favored. This put pressure on him and led to a few critical misplays, which included activating Threatening Roar to protect himself from damage when 1 day a piece was played the turn prior, effectively wasting his roar for no reason. But the turning point would occur immediately when Saito activated a copy of Royal Decree, which would negate all trap cards, a sided card that he played for the rogue heavy trap anti-meta strategies, but it just happened to be equally as effective against Jarrell's trap-based Exodia deck. Now, Jarrell of course had foreseen this and played copies of Twister to destroy the Royal Decrees. He would activate Twister, Jar of Greed, and then Accumulated Fortune in response to the Royal Decree, meaning his traps would still have the effects as the Royal Decree had not resolved successfully. But due to a miscommunication, Jarrell believed that his opponent and the judges stated that he could not activate the Accumulated Fortune, even though it would be the 4th card activated in the chain link, as Royal Decree counted as the 1st. And there was nothing in play that suggested it could be an illegal activation. Yet with the insurmountable pressure, Jarrell had no choice but to set the Accumulated Fortune face down, foregoing the 2 extra draws, which led to his ultimate defeat, as he would run out of gas on the final turn.
So for people to sit there and say, well, Jarrell played Exodia, he's a dumb motherfucker. He should have known he wasn't going to win. He was meant to lose because of a rule. But if I would have won that top 8 match, then I would have won the top 4. People would have still hated me, right?
Now, what exactly happened at that moment is uncertain, and not even the commentators seem to know. He would have likely won within the next few turns. His hand already contained 3 pieces of Exodia, and his remaining deck was quite thin. And who knows what might have come after. It's possible that Jarrell very well could have been the world champion.
Is that the end of the story?
Is the fact that after beating Jarrell, Akikazu Saito would later go on to win the entire tournament and become the world champion. But instead of wallowing in disappointment, Jarrell would stand up to overwhelming applause. He had gained the utmost respect for doing what no one else could. He had become a real-life Yu-Gi-Moto and showed everyone just what the heart of the cards was capable of. But some haters would still be spiteful online. I mean, are you really surprised at this point? Jealous that he had gone so far with, in their opinion, the wrong deck choice. Even though he was the sole American player who made the top 8. Jarrell would also make a YouTube video addressing the hate from the elitist players, and saying that despite the mishaps and the unfortunate circumstances that led to his loss, he still poured his heart into the deck and did his best to win. And ultimately, he was confident in himself and knew he made the right decision.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Pro Winston here. This is a video regarding all the hate comments and bashing that I'm getting for playing Exodia Worlds. And everyone called me stupid for it. Just because I don't want to play the top tier decks doesn't necessarily mean that I have to get attacked for it or bashed for it. I thank the 3 pro players and the 7 friends that believed in me before I left my house and told me that if you do decide to play Exodia, you have the guts and you have balls, because no one has ever went to Worlds and tried to play a deck that wasn't considered the meta.
Haters aside, his performance largely won over the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community, and over the next few days, there were congratulations and endless praise. Pro Winston had become a hero and a true duelist with the heart of a champion. And to this day, it remains the only time in Yu-Gi-Oh! History where Exodia would make a top-cut finish at a premier tournament. Now, what happened to Jarrell Winston after this, you might ask? Well, he continued to compete over the next few years, even finishing in top 8 at the National Championship 3 years later, falling just 1 duel short of qualifying for the World Championships yet again. But he would still set foot on the world stage more than once, working as a judge instead, to ensure that no players would falter due to miscommunications or ruling mishaps. And throughout the years, he would continue making YouTube videos, judging large events, and also playing a bit of Magic the Gathering on the side, before ultimately retiring from the card game scene and focusing on life instead.
I know how it is to struggle, and that's why I sit here and I tell you every day to never give up.
Jarrell's success story is a prime example of how determination can defeat every adversity throughout life, and also the salty haters. Because in the end, Jarrell showed them all.
As long as you take your deck and believe that you can do well, you will do well. You already know if it's not pro, it got to go. Deuces.
Deuces. Great video.
A very upsetting end to the game for the home team tonight with a final score of 5-3. We now
Great video. Thank you guys for watching. I'm kind of sad about the ending. Ending kind of made me sad, but you know, who can change what happens? Just keep moving forward, and yeah, like you said, you just keep moving forward and you show people. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, comment down below for more, and I'll see you guys later.